Okay, so what is up you guys, my name's Ollie, and today I wanted to make a video kind of talking about the differences between gender expression and gender identity, because I think these two kind of terms get like a little bit mixed up in today's society. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about like the differences and the similarities between the two. I look like such a fucking twink in this, like fuck me. I'm wink, so if I turn my head to the side, I don't know if you can't see that I'm blinking this eye too. You see? Okay, so like let's just get over with the basics. Your gender identity essentially is how you identify. So cis people, they identify with the way that they were born with. It's as easy as that for them most of the time. And then trans people identify differently to that. So for example, I identify as male, but I was born female. There is kind of like a controversy surrounding like saying you identify as male, because I don't identify as a man, I am a man. But like, let's just, you know, not be pedantic for once. I don't know why I keep doing this. And your gender expression is the way that you express yourself. You can present masculine, feminine, androgynous, whatever. A lot of the times, these two kind of... Yep, doing a good job already, Ollie. A lot of the time, these two things do go hand in hand. You know, people who identify who... This is going to be a long fight. Oh, okay. A lot of the times, these two things go hand in hand. You know, people who identify as male present very masculine. People who identify as female present very feminine, whatever. I think I present quite masculine, he says, in a pink t-shirt with a heart on it, but like, that isn't always the case. You know, gender expression can differ from your gender identity, and that doesn't mean that your gender identity has to change, if that makes sense. I think that people not understanding what these two terms mean and the fact that they're different can be harmful to both the trans and the cis community, because for one, people try and say that trans men can't wear makeup and dresses because they're no longer trans, which again, expression doesn't equal identity. Although, slight side note, if you are a trans guy and you are pre-transition and you are wanting to present more feminine, you have to understand that you're probably not going to pass. People see someone that looks female and then they're presenting femininely, they're gonna see you as a girl. That's just life, you know, it is the way that it is, unfortunately. I'm not saying it's right, but I also see this a lot within cis people. So let's say a cis woman who presents very masculine, you get people asking her if she's trans all the time, and that isn't what makes you trans, you know? I'm not a trans guy because I present masculine. There's a lot of other things that come into the fact that I'm trans, a big one of that being dysphoria. You also always see it on, you know, like those like makeup artists on YouTube who are men. I see it all the time on like their YouTube comments or whatever, like, are you trans? And it's like, just because a guy likes to wear makeup, that doesn't make him trans, you know? Like, that's wild to me, that people are like, oh, you must be trans because you don't typically like doing things that are stereotyped towards the gender that you are. Gender identity cuts a lot deeper than just the way that you present yourself, you know? Like I said, I'm not trans because I present masculine, I have short hair, you know? I'm trans because I have dysphoria. I mean, that's the main reason anyways. You know, a trans woman isn't trans because she has long hair and likes to wear makeup, you know. I'm not saying all trans women are like that, but we're digging into the stereotypes. I think mixing these two terms up also is why it's so harmful to say that you don't need dysphoria to be trans. Because, I mean, first of all, you just do, like, you literally do. It's the one thing that makes you trans. And I always find that you get these typically cis women. I don't want to be, you know, like presumptuous, but it does tend to be more cis women than cis men, I find anyways. You know, you see these cis women who maybe typically prefer masculine things or just don't like feminine things, you know, maybe they like having short hair and wearing guys' clothes. And you have all these people saying that you don't need dysphoria to be trans. So then you have these women who are like, wow, I don't have dysphoria, but I do prefer looking masculine. So that must mean that I'm trans. And then some of them even go on to transition or to be like this, but you always see a lot of like non-binary people who are like kind of fit into that category. And it's just not, you're not. That isn't what it is. Just because you like presenting a certain way, that doesn't make you trans, you know. This isn't a video about non-binary people, but what I will say is that if you're a non-binary person and you don't have dysphoria, then you're not non-binary. You know, non-binary is having dysphoria about the binary genders. You know, that's the whole point. It's still being trans, you know, and that's why I think this stresses me out so much, because you always see them being like, yeah, I'm non-binary, even though they don't have gender dysphoria in any way, shape or form, or they say that they're trans men and they don't have dysphoria. And I think that's why it's so harmful to say that, because then you have these people that will go on, maybe even to go as far as to physically transition, and then they will develop dysphoria because they never had it in the first place, and then they'll be kind of fucked. I mean, I also just find that, you know, not everyone is 100% male and 100% female. Even like the most cis manly men and the most cis feminine females aren't ever 100% feeling a gender. Just because you like doing things that maybe aren't stereotyped towards your gender, you know, that doesn't make you trans or non-binary or whatever, you know. it's not quite that cut and dry. You know, you could argue that me wearing a pink shirt is feminine and then be like, oh, I'm non-binary today. It doesn't make sense. It's not. I think it's also like, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but you know, like when people are always like, yeah, break the gender stereotypes, yeah, you do you, you know, fuck gender, but then as soon as anyone does that, they're like, you're trans, you must be the opposite gender, and it's like, okay then, no correlation there. I don't know, I hope this video made sense. It's been something that's been on my mind for a while, because I always see these kind of things, and it's why I think it's so harmful to say that you don't need dysphoria to be trans, because I mean you do, and that's the reason why I think it's so bad to say that you don't. You know, it isn't just like, you can be trans if you want to be, yeah, ooh, because I don't know why you'd want to be trans either. But I like this video, guys, and I hope it made sense. Comment your opinions on this down below. Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you disagree with me? Or yeah, I mean, I don't really know what this video was. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I post one video every single week. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. I love how much my brain would let me use words today.